I often get asked, how do you do it all? Or I don't see how you do all the things you do. And honestly, I don't do all of the things all of the time. This video just shows a snippet, about 20 minutes or so, of things that I do throughout the day and sometimes multiple days. But I choose what is on my current list of priorities, and that often changes to some degree. There are several things that always are at my top priority, but the other things that are on my list often change many times depending on the season or my interest or whatever I feel like is important at that time. But I will chat more about that in another video. But today I really want to talk to you about what you need to change to make your life look a little bit more like what you might envision or hope that it would look like. So this morning I got started by trying another recipe. I have been working really hard trying to make a wheat bread that has nuts and it's more filled with nuts and seeds and oats, and I still just haven't mastered this recipe just yet. I really want it to be a little bit more fluffy, so I think I'm going to try adding some vital wheat gluten and see how that works. Some of this footage is left from my last week's video where I made some barbecue pulled pork, and so in this video I'm going to show you how I used a little bit more of that. I washed some potatoes and got them ready to bake. We had pulled pork, potatoes topped with baked beans and the pulled pork and some barbecue sauce and some cheese, and that was just another great way to use up some of the pulled pork that I made in that Instant Pot. When I look at my life and I try to figure out how that I manage to accomplish all of the tasks that I want to get done, it seems like it could be an impossible task, and sometimes I just wonder how I even got things done today. But I figured out what the key was to getting to a point where I can manage to accomplish the things that I want to. Now, I'm not saying that I have this mile-long to-do list that I'm able to get done with every day and my house looks spotless. That is not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes you have these vision for your life and you want things to look a certain way and you're just not quite sure how to accomplish all of those things. Well, the secret is something that takes a lot of patience, honestly, but the key is just to choose one thing. Just choose only one thing that you want to change. Choose one thing that you want to do differently or that you want to implement into your life and focus on mastering just that one thing. I've been guilty of trying to change so many things at once or trying to add too many new routines at once, and that never works out very well. It's very difficult to try to change so many things at once. Speaking of changing, I have changed up this recipe a bit. I added a little bit more flour. It has bread flour, wheat flour, a little bit of brown sugar, my potato flake starter. I put in a little bit of flaxseed, ground flaxseed. I added in the muesli, which I used hot water to soften it up first, and that contains oats and different seeds in it. But I also added an additional half cup of seeds. I think I did 1/4 a cup of pumpkin seed and 1/4 a cup of sunflower seeds. But this bread is just so heavy with all of the wheat and the seeds, and so it has a very difficult time being a very nice and fluffy loaf. I think if I did add a little bit of yeast to it, that would take care of the problem. I really would prefer to just rise it naturally with a potato flake starter, because then you get all of the benefits of the fermented grains. Oh yes, I added in some chopped walnuts as well. So maybe I did a different ratio. I don't have my recipe right here in front of me. Maybe I did I guess I did about 1/4 cup of each. So anyway, this recipe is not finished yet. So whenever I have the finished recipe, I'll be posting it on my blog. But I hope that the Vital Wheat gluten is going to eliminate some of my rising issues. Talking about changing so many things at once reminds me a bit of whenever I taught kindergarten. There were transition days built in at the very beginning of the school year, and this was for kids to begin getting used to the routine, where only a few students out of the whole class came, and even then they only came for part of the day, and that would help them kind of get used to the schedule and, you know, just getting into a routine of coming to school, because that is a huge change from being at home or at a daycare or wherever they were before coming to school. And then whenever they did all finally come together, all of the students came, we didn't just jump right in and teach all of the subjects on the very first day. We typically would slowly add one more thing each day or every few days until it became more normal for them. And I really think that we could all benefit from this type of schedule or transition period in our lives. We can't expect to just change everything about our lives and for it to all fall into place perfectly. I got that bread in its pan, ready to rise for the day. It did end up rising, but it didn't rise as much as I wanted it to. This is the next day. I made my coffee this morning, enjoyed looking out the window, just seeing some of the springness come to life, and it's just nice to get to enjoy a few minutes in the morning without having any kids running around needing anything. Just to have a few minutes to myself to drink my coffee. I'm also prepping some more things for our camping trip. One of those things is making a bunch of breakfast sandwiches with the Canadian bacon, which is actually turkey from Sam's, and eggs and cheese on my sourdough, potato flake sourdough English muffins. When I started out as a homemaker, I did the bare minimum of tasks just to get by at keeping our home. Well, technically, it was an apartment at the time, but I did our laundry. I cooked simple meals, mainly from prepackaged foods, and I did a full apartment cleanup on Saturdays, and I spent a lot of time teaching, which was my job, and doing craft projects that I enjoy doing. I look back and I think how much time I wasted, or how I didn't realize how much time that I had now that I have 3 kids and so many other responsibilities. But I think that we all start in that place and we all learn from it, and we just add things a little bit at a time. And that is what I did. You know, I slowly added in more from scratch foods, or what I considered from scratch at the time. I began a more natural approach to ailments by using essential oils, and I made homemade laundry detergent. I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to only use natural products and organic foods. I'm going to make all of my bread with sourdough starter and make all of my snacks and breakfast bars from scratch. I'm going to make homemade yogurt and probiotic rich water kefir. And, you know, I'm kind of just laughing even saying all of that, because I didn't even know what some of those things were. Didn't even know they existed. But had I known about all of those things, which now we have a plethora of information with Facebook and Instagram and all of the different social platforms and Pinterest, and the videos are just filling our minds with all of these ideas of how our lives could be better. We could make our lives better if we just used organic foods. We could make our lives better if we just had a natural approach. We could make our lives better this way and that way. But you can't just keep saying, I could make my life better, and trying to change all of these things at one time. I mean, yes, you always want to grow and to become a better person or to make things better for your life, but you can't just change all of it at one time. These breakfast sandwiches, I usually would wrap them in aluminum foil so we could just heat them up in our toaster oven while we're camping, but I ended up wrapping them in plastic wrap because I knew that we were going to be in a bit of a hurry on this camping trip. Since we went to St. Louis, we were going to be out doing a lot of things rather than hanging around the campground. So I wrapped them in plastic wrap so we could just take them out real quick, pop them in the microwave in our camper, and be able to take them on the go. This is a day that I did not stop to eat my breakfast. I ended up having a little bit of the eggs that I cooked for these breakfast sandwiches, and I mixed up some of my doTERRA greens with some orange juice. I have not tried mixing it with just water. I know for sure that I like drinking it with orange juice. I don't know that I would like it with water, and so I'm happy just to keep drinking with orange juice. I know that having the orange juice does, add a bit of sugar, but I don't drink more than that amount of juice in a day. It's about a cup, so I don't feel like that is excessive or anything like that. I went ahead and cut up some more cheese because I planned for us to have sandwiches on our picnic to the zoo on our trip, and so I didn't have any slices of cheese. I didn't really feel like going to the grocery store just to get sliced cheese, so I cut up some slices from this block that I had, and I laid it on some parchment squares. I really love these pre-cut parchment squares. I know that I could cut up some parchment paper myself, but this really saves so much time, and it's super helpful for a lot of different scenarios, but this was one of them where I just layered the cheese on top, put some parchment paper, just continued layering it till I had as much cheese that we needed. Then I stuck it in a Ziploc bag so that we could easily stick it in the fridge and in our cooler bag whenever we were ready to go to the zoo. Without being very methodical about it, I did not think this out in my mind at the time, but I slowly changed just one thing at a time. I slowly added things or changed things, and that's my suggestion to you, is to not get overwhelmed and at trying to change all of the things that you want to change at once. Don't let other people's lives that may be in a completely different spot than you are make you feel like you have to flip your life upside down so that it can resemble what you might envision for it to look like one day. No, you don't really know what other people's lives truly are like. Even those around you, you aren't in their home all of the time. You don't really know where they've been. You have several people that you are close to and you might know, especially your family. But you don't truly know what everyone has going on in their lives. So you cannot expect to change your life to look exactly like theirs, because you too may have very different situations going on. I went ahead and made some banana nut muffins to have on our trip also, because that is a super easy breakfast for us. We had a lot of fun on this trip. There was a little bit of hail on our way there, which kind of made it crazy, but we had a great time. I just want to let you know that we have to have the patience to get out of the microwave mentality that the world has pushed on us of trying to have something done so quickly, and just kind of slow down and change a little bit at a time.
Hey girl.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so that you will see more videos like this. I'm so glad that you were here. See you again soon.